Good. Instead of a morning, we are good afternoon. And instead of a most in the morning, we are going to be talking to our National Guard and our reservists about the realities that their life and their family life and their community. I'm Holly Vega. My sidekick Leslie is at a softball tournament right now, so she's not here because remember a couple weeks ago we said summer's here. We got a lot of things going, and it's a little different things are happening. So I am talking today with Cristy Reid. She is one of my Miss Soy sisters. Recently, she was recognized for her base, and we got to meet each other in D.C. Over the time that we're in D.C., a lot of the National Guard spouses were talking and telling me different things, and I had no clue. And so I said that the best way when you don't know something is to get educated about it. So I'm lucky that our National Guard spouses, and Cristy's an Air National Guard spouse, and she's going to explain what the difference is and educate us. Tell me everything, fun fact that maybe no one knows. Mike is over to you.
All right. Let's see. So I mainly know just like the Mississippi National Guard, Air National Guard. Fun fact. So I came up with something because this week, is the anniversary, the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
Okay.
And the attack on Normandy.
Yep.
So our unit, the 153rd Air Refueling Wing, back then was an observation squadron. Was one of the, it's the oldest Air Guard unit here in Mississippi. And they flew 75 photographic reconnaissance missions that Eisenhower used for the attack. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so see, we do more than just sit at home and.
Well, I think that the misconception is on, and we had talked about this a little bit, and so I'll try not to offend him, but it's just weekend warriors. We're just weekend warriors. And that's all they do is come on the weekend and, or give one weekend out of the month, and the rest of the year, whoop, they're not there.
Right. Technically it is. There's a lot of them that do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. But the majority now, you have a lot of deploying back and forth. It just depends on what your job is.
And so for your spouse, though, because this is different. He's Air. National Guard.
Right. So he's been in for 30 years. He joined this base in Meridian, Mississippi back in '89 when he graduated high school. He was enlisted until '97, and he became a pilot after that. And he started flying the tankers, the KC-135 refueler here. Mm-hmm. So he's been flying for years here, but in the past 2 years, he went down to Gulfport to the Combat Readiness Training Center where he's been commanding down there. So yeah, he's busy.
And so you have not had to move, correct? No.
The only times we've had to move had to do with his civilian job before he got his full-time position here in Meridian back in 2007. So we've lived in Hattiesburg and then Gulfport, and then we came back. So the only time we moved for the military was coming back home after our 7 years on the coast.
And so for our viewers, we are going to have other spouses talking this week too. Mm-hmm. And that is not the case for every Reserve or National Guard.
No,
they're not always homesteading.
Right. So, the part-timers have their own jobs outside of the military. Joe has his civilian job within the military. So he is a technician.
Okay.
So when he does his drills, he becomes,
activated.
Right. Or when he travels, when he, deploys, that kind of stuff.
Yes. And so what have you found to be the most challenging? Because I know that this was a topic of not everybody really understands the National Guard.
The most challenging is there is a misconception that we don't need support groups, that we don't need each other. But I think I've found over the years, even though I had my family, I had friends and stuff, we were not used to the whole military lifestyle. So, my dad was in the Army National Guard when he was younger, but he was out before I ever came along. My brothers did not join. So this was all new to me whenever I met Joe. for years and years and years after 9/11, when he started deploying, and then we had a lull and he had to do some other trainings and stuff. I mean, I didn't even realize that I needed a support group. It was just the way it was. So that's been the biggest challenge, is once I realized that, I was like, it's time to do something. And
Right.
then when my daughter joined, if you want to ask me what my biggest challenge was, that was it. It really had, it was Joe and I, and our marriage and him being in the Guard is nothing compared to my daughter joining and going off and not knowing anything what she was going through. That was the biggest challenge for me. But so I like to focus on support groups for both spouses and the family, especially the parents sending their child off to basic, not knowing what they're doing, that kind of stuff.
So what do y'all have in Mississippi? What have you created?
Well, we're in the process of getting this started. So back in 2007, 17, when he deployed, I had one of the other spouses in our unit just ask me if I would volunteer. That's when I realized, oh, wait, there is more. And I did. I said, okay, I will. And we started doing stuff. And I managed to build up to asking her husband, which was the squadron commander at the time, if we could start a Facebook group. We didn't have a Facebook group. We thought we could not have a Facebook group. So we started that up. And just with that deployment, the one for the people who replaced them, we did send-offs, homecomings. It was amazing. Like, we had the best time. And most of the spouses that did the send-off were waiting for their husbands to come back home. So
I think you make a good point too. You said that until 9/11, you really were on a different track.
Right.
When once 9/11 happened, then you could not operate the way that you were operating before, and you did not know that, and so unfortunately, you had to start being more as if it was an active duty.
Right. Because when 9/11 occurred, prior to that, it was a week in a month. When he was flying, sometimes it would be 2 weekends a month, because he would have to come up to Meridian to do his flying, because we lived on the coast. And then the 2 weeks a year and maybe a little short trip here or there. After 9/11 occurred, they were on alert missions. They were being deployed. It was nonstop after that. Had no support when it came to being a spouse. And then I lived away from my family at the time. So I found my support in the church. And but we had an amazing family readiness person who did a fabulous job making sure she sent out emails, because that time there really wasn't anything but emails. Making sure that we tried to come to Christmas parties, stuff like that, Family Day. So yeah, she did the best job she could, considering. It was new to us. It was really new to us. So
do y'all still have family readiness officers, or has that gone away?
Yes,
for us on this side of active duty, we have lost many resources.
So yeah, it's gone up and down. We have the resources. I think a lot of the time the problem is to get those resources, it seems to all come on us at once. We have something called a yellow ribbon. I guess it's the yellow ribbon program, but they'll have a big function like over a weekend, and that's when they prepare you for the deployment and when you come back.
Yep.
And so
it's like, comment. We're going to have someone talk about that this week.
So it's very overwhelming when you go into this and your spouse is about to leave, and all this information is being thrown at you. So it's easy to just kind of tuck it into the folder and say, it's right there whenever I need it. At least that's the way it was with me. Mm-hmm. It's there if I need it, I'll go back to it. But then when you need it, you're like, where is that stuff?
Right.
So that's the only thing. We have tons of resources. They're available. It's just, how to use them. And I think that falls on us.
So if anyone is in your area, or they are an Air National Guard spouse and they're like, I don't have resources and I want to connect, is there a site? Is there somewhere where they can reach out? Have y'all created anything like that? Or is there somewhere where is there a website?
No,
there's a Facebook page, right? There's a Facebook page, so we can hyperlink that Facebook page.
There is not, although I just downloaded the app it's for the Air Force, and you can go under there, under the units. I can't tell you exactly how to do it, but it lists the Guard units, and you can click on that. Yeah. So, I mean, the only way I can say is the Air Force app. I can't even remember what it.
Yeah. But y'all don't have the Facebook page anymore?
We do,
Okay.
and we'll post things occasionally. I had hoped that it would be more of a support group, where you can go and ask questions, but it's been more of a, to post like events,
Events.
you know.
Okay. But I would like that so that I can hyperlink it. So just in case someone's watching and they're like, they don't have
Okay, so
anything.
it's a private
The
page.
private
Yeah,
page.
it's one of those groups that you have to be invited,
Okay.
unfortunately, because I was told when I formed it to guard it with my life. So,
Mhm. So I think that you need to create an email so that people can reach out to you. That's what I think you should do.
okay. Well, they can find me on Facebook, and I can if
You
they're
don't want
serious.
everybody finding you on Facebook.
Well, I know that's true, but I have a lot of them, so yes.
So is there anything else that you would like for our viewers to know about the National Guard, that's Air National Guard?
Well, I mean, it's been really good to us. I'm married to a very high goal oriented person, so that's probably the difficulties that I've had, throughout all this. Is he was determined that he was going to fly, and he was going to come colonel, and all these different things. So that made it hard on me. But as soon as I started focusing on what he's doing and kind of asking questions, it made it so much easier. But yeah, our Air National Guard does tons of stuff. I mean, stateside, I think we were called out for Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could be wrong. There's probably other ones, but that was the big one. But sorry, but mostly they're deploying. They're going overseas and flying refueling missions, and then and then our Jackson unit, they're a medical unit too. They fly the C-17s. That's where my daughter joined to be a flying med tech. So they do a lot of stuff, lots of missions, and out of the 3 bases, there's several missions going on. So
they're not just a weekend warrior.
not just a weekend warrior. Most of them are not, at least. And the ones who are, they're going to be deployed too. So it's just one of those things.
So they're always going.
Yes, they're. It seems like they're constantly going now. So.
Well, thank you very much for kicking off, because you're the first person for the National Guard that's kicking off the series. Come back every day this week. We have a wonderful lineup of military spouses that are going to talk about different aspects, because this is the air, and there's other entities to the National Guard that I was not aware of. And there are other issues that are underlying that they're looking for resources and advice and help with. So come back tomorrow at 12 o'clock. And thank you again, Cristy, for joining me and teaching and educating me a little bit what your spouse does and what you do.
I do want to say one thing before we go.
Okay.
I hear a lot of people say that we're not a part of the Air Force, or Army Guard's not a part of the Army.
Okay.
We are. They train with the Air Force. They do all of their stuff. I mean, they are basically, when they're called up to deploy and stuff, they are a part of the Air Force. So
that is good.
Just had to throw that in there, because
that every time, right? We're going to reiterate every day that we do one of these with this whole week with the series. We're going to keep on saying that they are part.
Yes, they are.
Thank you for saying that. And remember that Military Home Base is bringing you home one base at a time. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Have a blessed Monday.